Did you know that liquid propane has nearly 700 times as much energy as the same amount of natural gas? So the correct storage of liquid propane is a big responsibility. This video will help you understand some of the simple steps for the safe storage of propane, as well as complying with the regulations of BC. We'll also show you some aspects BCSA may look for during our physical assessment.
We won't be able to cover everything, but hopefully you'll find out a little more about what's needed to keep your tanks safe, what some of the common hazards are to look out for, and where to go for more information. In this video, we'll be looking at propane tanks. A propane tank is constructed under the CSA B51 code and refilled on site. Tanks are identified by a Canadian registration number, or CRN, that's stamped on the data tag or nameplate. Propane tanks are different from propane cylinders, such as those used with barbecues, small heating equipment, or in recreational vehicles. Cylinders have a different set of regulations, are transportable, usually refilled at a central storage location. They don't have CRNs. They still have code requirements, but are identified by a Department of Transport or DOT number stamped into the collar and don't require an operating permit. All owners of propane storage tanks are required to have a valid operating permit and a CRN for each tank. The permit is an important part of the oversight process. It identifies each tank, its specifications and use, and allows BCSA to determine the most appropriate assessment activity.
In some cases, an on-site physical assessment may be needed. If you have any issues with understanding the differences between a tank and a cylinder, or the requirements needed for an operating permit, please contact your propane supplier or BCSA.
Almost all of the technical requirements that will determine if a propane tank and its installation will be deemed compliant are in the current editions of the CSA B149.2 Propane Storage and Handling Code and CSA B51 Boiler, Pressure Vessel, and Pressure Piping Code.
It's important to note that the repair, service, and maintenance of a propane tank or valve must be carried out by qualified individuals. Please contact your propane supplier to find one.
Every tank must have a CRN stamped on the data tag or nameplate allowing for its use in BC. Tanks require an operating permit. Most technical requirements can be found in CSA codes B149.2 and B51. Service, maintenance, and repairs must be carried out by a qualified individual.
As I mentioned, owning or using a propane tank is a big responsibility, and likely one you'll need help with from your local propane supplier. So what safety hazards do you need to be aware of, and what does BCSA look for during a physical assessment?
BCSA's physical assessment process can be broken down into 5 main categories: site and location, nameplate or data tag, tank condition, pressure relief valve, and tank openings and valves.
Let's start with site and location. The physical assessment deals with the position of the tank, the location of the tank, and the ongoing maintenance.
It's important for owners and site operators to understand these requirements in order to ensure that any ongoing site development or use doesn't create safety hazards. First, we'll look at clearances. Does the tank meet the required clearances to structures, building openings, combustible materials, and sources of ignition? This also includes electrical transmission lines, other tanks, flammable materials, vaporizers, sewer pipes, storm drains, and electrical meters. Is there access to the filling location for propane suppliers? Is the tank protected from vehicle traffic or any other mobile equipment? Is the tank installed on a firm, non-combustible and level base? For example, the tank supports cannot be made of wood. Is vegetation or other readily ignitable materials kept clear of the tank?
The site and location of the tank are important. Although the tank itself may be in good working condition, what surrounds it may increase the hazards or severity of an incident should one happen.
There's a lot to consider in terms of a tank's site and location. Some of the more common safety hazards I find are tank clearances to buildings, structures, and roadways, incorrect tank supports or soft, uneven bases, combustible materials surrounding tank, clearances to sources of ignition, protection from vehicles or mobile equipment.
Once the site has been assessed, the nameplate or data tag will be reviewed to ensure the tank meets the specifications for what's required.
The nameplate or data tag has critical information on it that's needed when applying for an operating permit. Is it present and readable? Does the serial number match the information on the operating permit? Does it have a proper CRN on the tag, identifying it for use in BC? Is the design pressure indicated on the nameplate? The nameplate or data tag is critical to identifying the tank and whether it is suited for the purpose for which you have installed it. Some of the most common issues I have seen are that the name tags or data plates are painted over, corroded, or missing completely. If this is the case and there's no definitive way of identifying the tank, it will need to be removed from service or a new rating plate must be installed with a safety officer present.
After taking a look at the site, location, nameplate, or data tag, we then inspect the tank condition.
What we're looking at is the general condition of the paint or coating, as well as the physical integrity of the tank. Are there signs of corrosion, cracks, dents, cuts, or gouges? Are there any bulges on the tank? Are there any indications of fire damage or leaks? As part of our assessment, we do a visual inspection to confirm whether there is a pressure relief valve present and in serviceable condition, and if so, determine if it's appropriate to use with the tank. Larger propane tanks may have a pressure gauge, thermometer, liquid level gauge, internal safety control valve, or other valves. Our assessment includes verifying that all openings and valves are in proper working order and not corroded or leaking. All valves and openings, including the pressure relief valve, are critical to the overall safety of your tank. Some of the more common hazards I see are overdue service interval for the pressure relief valve, leaking valves, internal safety controls held open without fusible links or return springs, and pressure relief valves without covers. And remember, some activities such as servicing, repairing, maintaining, and filling your propane tank must be done by qualified individuals. It's important to hire qualified individuals because if an assessment identifies any non-compliances, the propane storage tank may need to be taken out of service for repair or replacement. Contact your propane supplier to help with these services and to understand your role. In all cases, a permit is required for operating propane tanks in BC. If you have any questions or need any help understanding the requirements for obtaining an operating permit, either contact your propane supplier or the BCSA. Well, there you go, a quick overview of some of the requirements and common safety hazards of propane tanks. Propane tanks need an operating permit. It's important for all owners and users of propane tanks to maintain the site as well as the tank throughout its life. Tanks should be regularly monitored and have a defined service schedule for the pressure relief valve. Only qualified individuals can service or repair propane tanks. Technical requirements are under the CSA codes B149.2 and B51.
For more information, visit our website, email, or call us. And remember, with liquid propane having the ability to expand 270 times its original size, it is important to be knowledgeable in the safe installation and maintenance of your tank. Thanks for watching.